Yeah, yeah, and I love that you word it that way too, because that's exactly what it is, and we're just so because we're obviously emotionally attached to ourselves that we feel like that if we call out that BS, that we're not living right, or we're doing something wrong, and everybody's going to start pointing fingers and laughing at us, or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays you're going to have people take videos of you and post it on YouTube or something
Right.
like that. Like, look at this person doesn't know what they're doing. I
Yeah.
mean,
It's,
the matter of the fact is that most people don't know what they're doing because they aren't living authentically, like you said. They're avoiding so much and are just kind of going through the motions of their lives. I go to work, I pay the bills, I do this, I do that, and that's it. And gosh, what's the percentage of people that aren't doing something that they love for a career or for a job, right? And I'm sure it's really high. And I've talked about this before. And that's fine. Not everybody's going to be able to
oh,
get
for
to that
sure.
job or whatever it is. But if you can do something in your personal life to counterbalance that scale a little bit, to, okay, I have to do this because it's what pays the bills. This is the position that I find myself in, and there's nothing out there for me that I enjoy doing that pays me as much as this does. So this is what I have to do. But what am I doing for myself on the other end that's for me, or that's servicing those around me, that brings me that self-satisfaction, that joy, that passion, something that I love? Counterbalance it. Do what you can and figure out what that is, because most people don't have that other end of the scale that they're balancing, right? They're usually just, they got their job, their duty, their title of whatever it is, and that's it. And they get that, I guess, kind of longing feeling of something's missing in life.
Oh yeah.
And then that starts building resentment,
I see
anger,
it daily.
depression, right? And
Daily.
if you go an extended amount of years, or, I mean, gosh, your entire life doing that, I mean, that's a recipe for disaster, right?
It always is. Yeah.
100%.
So this is a really good, it's a question I ask every coaching client, and I've seen multimillionaires successful, like off the rails, to single moms, 3 kids, just keeping it together, right? And we're kind of where the direction you've been going. And I ask them all the same question. What do you want? Like, if I asked you, what do you want right now? And I can tell you, out of 30 years of doing this, I don't think I've had one person be able to tell me what they want.
Right.
From a soul perspective of saying, I really want this. And when I say, take what you were talking about, the labels, right? We label ourselves. I'm a mom, I'm a this, I'm a that. If you can just take the labels away, as a soul, what do you want? And if you can break them down enough, you start to go, I really just want this. And it doesn't match what this rat wheel you're talking about of
Right.
life, you know? And what's really sad is we don't take the time to sit with ourselves and understand ourselves and ask, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you can navigate. Doesn't mean life's going to get like so basic and easy that you don't have challenges, because that's the whole reason we're on this earth plane, right? Is to learn, and we only learn through growth, right? Like, or
Right.
through pressure. Pressure is what says, ooh, that's kind of hot, go the other way. But at the end of the day, it's a really big question that a lot of people struggle to ask themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Spending that time, because a lot of people, I mean, it's scary for a lot of people because they can't answer that question right off the bat. So they feel like, oh, I don't know. And you get that kind of flustered reaction from people, and they're like, I don't know. So I know some people, they almost feel selfish in
Yes.
thinking about themselves to that degree,
Yes.
especially when they're a mom or a
Yes.
wife, husband, whatever, a parent.
Yep.
They have all these other, responsibilities. They feel almost selfish in spending actual quality time thinking about themselves, who they are, what they want, what they don't want, what they believe in, what they don't
Right.
believe in, what makes them feel good, what makes them feel happy, what makes them feel
Sure.
sad. Like all of those simple questions And they, so yeah, again, they shy away from it. They go in the other direction, and it just never gets addressed. And people don't realize the more that you ignore yourself, that has an effect on those around you.
Oh, hands down.
I say it all the time. I feel like we have an aura around us, and it's like this bubble that we
Yep.
just walk around with. And when we come in contact with other people, it's going to come in contact with their bubble, their aura. And if
Absolutely.
you're carrying all of that negative, harboring negative emotions or unaddressed feelings or ignored thought processes or whatever it is, you don't understand that you're acting a little different than you normally would if you were on top of those things, that you were even aware of your aura and how it affects other people. They don't realize that. And that's something, and I speak from experience because that was something that I didn't realize for a long time either. I just blissfully went through this life, not a care in the world, didn't think about tomorrow, was just doing here, right now. And I put it together later on, embarrassed to say that I started realizing how negative of an impact I was having on other people. I never intended to, like it wasn't I never intentionally wanted to hurt anybody or give them a negative experience in life, and didn't realize that it was something that could have had a lasting effect on them as well, that they could look at guys differently because of me.
Right.
They could look at relationships differently because of me.
Right.
Bosses, coworkers, whatever title that I've held in the past, I didn't really put that together until, my mid 30s. And then it was like a panic almost of like, oh no, I need to now make up for all of the wrong that I've done. And then, after a little while, I kind of put things together. It's like, no, I just need to do better going forward. I need to be more conscious of myself and work on myself more, do better, and then that's going to help me, help me move past those things from my past, is to know that I wouldn't do those same things now, that I would handle things better, I would handle things differently. And I've talked about this so many times, and I've told it so many times to my wife, because I told her that's what led me to you. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have entertained what we ended up having going on, because I just wasn't there. I wasn't there for that. And me doing that soul searching, spending that time with myself, and really, and I use this phrase all the time, being honest with what I was seeing in the mirror. And it took a little while. It took a lot of work, but it changed me complete 180. And that's one of my biggest goals now, is to help other people even just look in the mirror, let alone, we'll start working on being honest with it after, but just take a look in the mirror first. And that was one of the big changing points in my life, was actually just, like I said, being honest with what I was seeing in the mirror.
Put your hand out. Put it right here, because that's amazing. So, you and I kind of exchanged a little bit, and the basis of everything I do is self-mastery, right? And the center of my work. And self-mastery isn't perfect, right? Like, it's not about being perfect. You had to kind of slip and slide a little bit, but it's being aware. And the moment you became aware of you, true understanding of who you are, that's kind of the game changer. And I think that's one of the biggest pieces. And I would call you're kind of a fully lit lighthouse, right? So, we all do. Still have those 4 hotspot rooms that kind of flare up. Sometimes I'm like, oh, no. But I have more awareness of myself
Right.
when I'm losing myself. And I call it my energy field is leaking. It's the same thing.
Ooh, I
And
like
we're
that.
all energetic beings. And if I don't have complete energy pushing out and I let go of some of it, my energy starts leaking, or it's the doors open and I'm letting in, i.e., like you said, I'm letting in negative energy to my own energy field, and I become it, right? And I'm like, what's wrong with
Right.
me? And so we're less aware, and now you step into that awareness of full lighthouse, which is kind of what you explained the best. It was a very good description of it, because when you step into full understanding, right, you catching those unaware patterns while it's happening, when you're happening right now and catching it, right? It's not 6 months later when you're journaling, like, oh, like you're in the now, always catching,
Right.
like, oh, wait, I think I'll check on this. And so I think the biggest misconception is that like people think that healing is forever, like it's their burden to carry. And like you were saying, I did it for a long time, but then I was like, no. And
Right.
this is a big deal because it's that simply that karma that you came to learn, and most people don't realize health, wealth, or love. It's the same pattern in different circumstances, in different pants, and in different people. It's really the same pattern. And so you're just basically here to get your master's degree with some extra lessons and some extra practice to get confident in that category of your life. And there were probably a few things that you're like, if I don't get this together, I'm not getting that haughty, amazing, beautiful, powerful woman, right? And so you
Right.
fixed you attracted her, you didn't seek her in the
Ooh,
new you,
yeah.
right?
I
Does
love
that
that.
make
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Timing is everything, and if you're wasting your time not putting your best foot forward, not taking that time to realize who you are, and again,
Hmm.
that effect that you're having on others, that's the thing. You're wasting that time. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously, self mastery is central to your work. What does self mastering yourself really look like in practice for people?
So, if you're looking at it from my perspective, right, I've taken, like I said, an astrology wheel and said, here, stand in the middle and let's look at your self confidence, your money value and worth, your communication, your home and security life, your romance and fun, your health,
Hmm.
your partnerships, your intimacy. It's a big deal. We all don't, well, don't talk about sex. I'm like, but intimacy, it's not about having sex, it's about being close and connecting to someone
Right.
at a soul level to our
Mm.
belief systems. That's what gets people tripped up in relationships is this belief system of how we we should be, and when we aren't that way we run away and go, you're not so you're not a team player. And our career and our public, how we show up in the world to serve, and to our best selves, our superpowers, and kind of our emotional, we'll call it intuition, our mind, our mindset, and our, I call it the where we screw ourselves up house, like part of our personality. It's like we shut it down so much we don't want to look. And so how does self-mastery look is standing in the center of that and finding which categories. Now, in corporate America, I called it a white wheel, and I just gave them the categories and said, pick the top 3 that are your lowest from, 1 through 12. I want to know top 3, and right away they would pick them, and then we'd meet in a private session, and sure enough they would be where their hotspot sits. So what I'm trying to say is your soul already knows where the work
Hmm.
is.
Yep.
We have to just find some sort of tool, whether it's my tool or any tool. I tell people, find something to look at yourself and look at the blueprint. And like I said, I think this misconception that people keep getting is that it's just going to be there forever. Right? I'm going to be
Right.
miserable forever. I'm never going to get over this. And my point is, it's just how much courage you have to walk into a fire that is never going to burn you. It's just going to be uncomfortable, right?
Right.
And we typically, relationships are a big deal. I get a lot of couples and relationship coaching, and we marry our parents' unfinished business, i.e., that lineage, the ancestral download, right? Like, so we kind of get a chart where, like, I didn't like that about my parents. I'm like, I know that's what you came to master so you can break the link. You
Mm.
marry that unfinished business so you can work it out with someone you trust and love, and you think they're amazing, and you're like, I trust you enough to open this bag and go, I got to deal with it. But instead, what do?
Mm.
We project it onto them and like, this
Yep.
is your fault, right? Or a version of that. And so
Right. Right.
when you see it on paper, it heals relationships a lot faster because they can start owning their BS, and they can go, you know what? Call me on this. It's not yours to carry. And the other person can say, hey, call me on mine. Now that we both see it, this isn't yours to carry. But I don't want to fall, and when I do, I trust you enough to help me see it. And so
Yeah.
self-mastered, you're in a relationship with everything, aren't you? I mean, you're in a relationship with money, you're in a relationship with people, you're in a relationship with,
Right.
so
Yeah.
that's the
Absolutely.
truest level. If I were to say it basic, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think you're 100% right. It's that being honest with what you're bringing to the table, what you're bringing to the relationship, because we're so quick to point the finger at somebody else, because it's so much easier, right? It's so much easier to say, oh, this is your fault, or, yeah, I did this, but it's because you did that first, or, that's in response to this. And we're so quick to chalk up, well, I am who I am. That's just how it is. My mom was the same way, or whatever. Like, it's in my DNA. I can't help it. And it's like, well, I hear what you're saying, but there is something that you can do about it. And I was just having this conversation too. And one of my favorite quotes is, no one's at fault, but everyone's responsible. There comes a point in your life that you have to take responsibility for your actions. You can pull that whole, it was my upbringing, or it's in my DNA, all that stuff, to a certain point.
Yep.
But then when you get to being an adult, in adult relationships, whether it's with a significant other, or money, or even just yourself, you have to take responsibility. You have to take accountability for your actions. You don't have to you shouldn't be coming up with excuses. And they'd like to say that it's validation, or it's the reasons why. And at the end of the day, it's not. It's just excuses. And that's all it is. That's what you're saying to help make you feel better about your faults, instead of doing the actual work, because it's hard. And I think, I think that's one of the biggest things with a lot of people is they don't like to feel uncomfortable. They don't like to put in work that there's not this immediate result. When you work out, you're sore. And if you work out long enough, you'll start to build muscles or lose fat, or, you can physically see that. But a lot of times when you're doing work on yourself, you're not going to see those results immediately. You're not going to look in the mirror and see something different. It's not until you start really putting those things into action, one, addressing those faults, addressing those things that you want to better about yourself, and start putting into practice, start putting it into action, and make an active change in, like you said earlier, your thought processes around it. And that's one of the most common things that I see is just people kind of in denial about the things that they have going on, or just, again, it's so much easier to say, that's just who I am. That's just what I do. I hurt people, or I let people hurt me, or I always attract this type of guy, or, whatever cliche you can throw out there. It's the same thing as when kids used to say, oh, it's my teacher doesn't like me. So kids in school, they would say, because it was so much easier to say, it's so much easier than to say, I wasn't applying myself. I wasn't paying attention in class. I didn't study. I didn't do this. I didn't do, fill in the blank. It's so much easier to point the blame at the external than it is to point it at the internal.
Well said.
It's hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. And I don't mean to talk about it as if it's, all you have to do is just point the finger at yourself and, everything will line up. But it is a lot easier than people think. And once you start looking internally for those answers, then it's almost like working out. The stronger it gets, the easier it gets.
Right.
And the more you do it, for me at least, it was almost exciting to find, what else can I do to better myself here? What else can I do to grow? Yeah. And again, I've talked about this before too. This is something that never has to end. It's not like going to school. Once you get through 12th grade, you graduate, and then you're done. No, you could be 87 years old and learn something new about yourself that you can work on and get better at, or learn, or whatever the case is, and apply it and just live a better life because of it.
Right.